What is going on, everybody? So I am back today to talk about a new release film from this year that I was actually really excited to see because this was based off the source material of an author I really like, Paul Tremblay, who wrote a book called The Cabin at the End of the World, which I actually have not read, but I read another one of his books called A Head Full of Ghosts that was absolutely incredible, amazing character writing, super suspenseful. And so when I found out this was being adapted, I was really excited. And despite the fact it was being adapted by M. Night Shyamalan, who is someone who I feel like earlier in his career I really championed and appreciated, and I can still respect him as a filmmaker despite the fact I feel like later on in his career he's made some really bad films. I think the last movie I reviewed was Old, which was just a baffling experience all over the place. And so I was looking forward to watching this film, and I'll be excited to share my thoughts in today's review. And the movie I'm going to be discussing is Knock at the Cabin. Knock at the Cabin is directed by M. Night Shyamalan. While vacationing at a remote cabin, a young girl and her parents are taken hostage by four armed strangers who demand that a family make an unthinkable choice to avert the apocalypse. With limited access to the outside world, the family must decide what they believe before all is lost. So as I said, I really like Paul Tremblay. I was really looking forward to seeing an adaptation of his work, despite the fact that I haven't read this, and I really didn't like this movie. And there's a multitude of reasons for that. And while I don't think that it's Shyamalan's worst film that he's made, there's things about it that make me really not like it. And at first I'm going to share my spoiler-free thoughts, but there are some elements of it to explain my gripes that I have with the movie that I cannot discuss without spoiling the end. So first, I'm just going to get into talking about the reasons why I don't like it all that much. Positives, though, first, I think Dave Bautista gives a fantastic performance in this. He is definitely the standout. I think his menacing presence mixed with his calm demeanor really creates a nice tension throughout the movie, and I think that he really delivers his lines well. He does such a fantastic job. All of the other characters are fine. The couple that is introduced in this, played by Jonathan Groff and Ben Aldridge, they both give decent performances. The atmosphere conveyed in this is really great at the beginning. I think it does a nice job building up tension, but once the film has to start executing is when it really starts to fall apart for me. It starts to get incredibly repetitive to where we're just getting the same thing over and over and over again, where you can tell in a book like this, you would probably spend a lot of time doing flashback sequences or understanding each one of these intruders' motives and why they're doing what they're doing, and diving more into the family's backstory, where this is just the same repetitive sequence of scenes over and over and over again. Like, you have to do this thing, we're here for a very specific reason. And so that just became very tiresome after a while. I do think the cinematography has some nice moments. There's also incredibly jarring close-up shots that got really irritating after a while. M. Night's cinematography is always baffling. I was really surprised to see that this was shot by the same cinematographer that shot The Lighthouse, which is like my favorite cinematography of any film in like the past 20 years. Those are my gripes that I can talk about without spoiling the film. So from this point on, if you have not seen the film, I'm going to get into spoilers and discussing the main gripe that I have with the movie. So we're going to get into it now. So come back to my review if you have not seen Knock at the Cabin, or if you don't care, just watch anyway. So the main crux of this film is that these four people show up at this gay couple's house who they have this young daughter. They are telling them that that the apocalypse is coming, and that the only way that they can prevent the apocalypse is to decide to kill one of the three of them. So either one of the two dads or the daughter has to die. And so what we get is each one of the four people there, if they refuse, slowly start killing themselves. And when they kill themselves, it supposedly unleashes a plague on society, and they're turning the television on and there's these things happening, but you're putting into question, is this all circumstantial? Are these people just trying to manipulate them? And so that's the main crux of the movie. Where my irritation lies is M. Night tries to build up this couple and their experiences being gay and the trauma that they've suffered being gay and just trying to live in society, even as far as to go to a foreign country and have to disguise themselves as a straight couple and that the two of them are brothers to adopt their child, and all of these different things that, you know, gay people really have to experience. And so the movie plays on, and you get to the end of the film, and the end of the film is that the religious conspiracy nuts that have predicted the future, even though they say they're not all religious, it really kind of parallels to these religious nuts that live in our society. At the end, it is implying that they are all correct. And so one of them has to sacrifice their life. And I won't get into who does that, but obviously one of them has to die at the end of the film. At the end, it's just like, okay, what am I supposed to take away from this? And do I think M. Night was intentionally trying to say, like, hey, gay, like, the religious conspiracy nuts are right, and gay people have to constantly sacrifice themselves and their livelihood because of how society treats them? No, I don't necessarily think that was the intent, but the problem is that it's so sloppy, it just feels wrong, which is what disappoints me, because, like, the gay experience is so hard already. I think this movie would have been 20 times more impactful if at the end they really were just nuts and nothing really happened. But it left kind of a sour taste in my mouth at the end of the film to see, like, okay, so the end of your movie is the religious nuts are inherently right and the gay people have to lose again. And so what does that leave to an audience to interpret? And that's what really irritated me about this film, is that, like, especially the sequence at the end where they're just sitting in the car, it just felt so clunky and awkward and off that it just really irritated me. And I think that in the hands of a better director, it might have been executed better, to where the love of this family triumphing would have held truer and felt a lot better than what it did, which was just like at the end, the one father had to just say, hey, we have to do this. And that's what was really irritating to me, is that there's just no cohesiveness in the screenwriting. And I know a lot of people say Tremblay's source material is so much better and conveys the love of this family and the power of this romance and the issues of the LGBTQ experience and what people have to go through and the trauma that they have to suffer. And while I think M. Night has moments in this that he does a good job building up that dynamic, it just really does not look good at the very end of the film. And I don't, like I said, I don't think there's ill intent, and I just think that it's not really handled to the best of its ability. And aside from all that, like I said, it's kind of just a clunky film that feels like it takes way too long to get where it needs to be. There's some good moments that I really enjoyed, but I wouldn't recommend this one. I feel like you could skip over it. M. Night's done better films in his career, and I don't think this one really hits that hard. So have you seen Knock at the Cabin? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Leave me a comment down below and let me know what you thought. I thought this movie was not very good. I was really hopeful that I would enjoy it, and there's a lot of problems that I had with it, and I probably will not revisit this one. As always, if you can like the video and subscribe to the channel, it helps me out a lot and lets me know the type of content you're looking for. I'm always putting out new material and look forward to getting more out for you in the near future. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.